It seems different spots, so.
Good evening. Welcome to the June 11th meeting of the Rush Town Board. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic stands
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
And would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Raleigh.
Here.
Councilman- Councilman Chase,
Here.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Councilman Kies,
I'm here.
Supervisor Williver,
Here.
and excuse me for we had an adjustment. Our cameras were not working this week. We had somebody come in and fix them. However, they did not set us up with the right links to where everything was, so apologize with the view.
Thank you. I have no announcements. Public comment period. Anyone wishes to speak? I've been told that a lot of people run too long, so I gotta time you 3 minutes.
I'll move your microphones closer.
Hmm?
Move your microphones closer.
Okay,
Good evening. My name is Janet Walker, a Rush resident since 1976. I'm addressing the town board tonight on the issue of communication with residents. At the last town board meeting, Ms. Hankins talked about proper notification before voting on a resolution to grant Niagara Mohawk an easement. Ms. Rizzo spoke about the environmentally sensitive importance of the town's property of Gold. In 1996, Monroe County declared that area environmentally sensitive in the report titled Preservation of Environmentally Sensitive Areas in Monroe County. I sent that report to the town board and their conservation committee. I'm terrible with maps and have not checked to determine if the town's property is within the area of the report. However, we know from our experience with Horseshoe Solar that Gola is a special place for so many reasons. In late March, I told Supervisor Williver that I had received a substantial communication from Niagara Mohawk about expanding the easement for the Mortimer Gola line and that he might receive queries from residents. He held up a phone drive, noting that he had been to a meeting called by Niagara Mohawk. When was the meeting? What information was on that thumb drive? Now information is circulating that Niagara Mohawk conducted a public meeting in Caledonia. I respectfully request that the town board not act on an easement until you invite Niagara Mohawk to a public meeting in Rush and have them inform residents about a new, very large substation at Golda. There are 60-some residents along East River Road that will be affected by this construction and potential view. My generation was glued to the television during the Watergate hearings. Howard Baker's seminal question was, paraphrased, who knew what and when? I'm asking the town board, but principally Supervisor Williver, to answer that same question. I'm asking you to schedule a meeting with Niagara Mohawk to give information to town residents, answering any questions we might have. I'm asking you to schedule a meeting with Todd Kanavi, the Invenergy representative. How will Horseshoe Solar's known expansion of the existing substation interact with this Niagara Mohawk information? I'm respectfully asking you to delay any action on an easement until residents are more fully informed. Please inform the residents. Communication is an important part of your job. Thank you. I'll send a copy of these remarks to the town board and Clerk Hargrave to become part of the record.
Catherine Hankins, 2353 Pinnacle Road. I spoke last time regarding Gola. And first, I'd like to say that once again, our council member Luca Keys is on video. Based on the law, that should mean that every citizen in Rush is invited to this meeting. And that is under public officers law. Mr. Oliver, you came to that meeting, you heard the state representatives say that clearly, and it's not the first time. So I think the town board has to know the law and follow the law. The same is true for the resolution for GOLA. It's not a properly prepared resolution to begin with. I reiterate that last time we asked for information, where was it put? It was put on on miscellaneous documents. We said we needed more information. You said you'd provide it. It would be posted. It was, who would think about looking for it under miscellaneous documents? I searched the website the next day, the day after, and up until yesterday, when someone else gave me the insight where it was located. That's not right. This is subject to a permissive referendum under Article 7, in my understanding. I gave 2 possible resolutions. This is not ready for prime time once again. And in the end, it says, be it further resolved that this resolution will take effect immediately. It would take effect if there's no permissive referendum. We don't need another permissive referendum. I don't need to go around town for the 3rd time to try and get petitions signed because people need to know. And I'm aware that many of you think this is a no interest land. Again, Supervisor Wooler, you were here in 2017 when former Supervisor Kathy Frank wanted to sell that land. And the people did not want it. Some of us have we've crossed town to walk on that road. That was the first place I came to when I came to Rush. You know, that's way back in the early 70s. So this is not fair to the people. It should stop just as we just heard, have a public hearing. We know that easements, utility easements, town easements are required. But in this situation, when I looked at the map, it could be easily put on other land. Doesn't have to be on our land. So, and it's not clear based on the rules that I read and the questions that I asked last time. These were questions that a property owner would ask if somebody wanted an easement on their land. I didn't make them up. Researched it and found them. What are the answers to these questions? And what I read, which is so serious, is if you get an easement on someone's land and you want more, it's almost an automatic given. You are giving a blank check to the utility company. And last time I said that this land was designated as parkland, and on the 1991 maps, it says town park. There's not so many of us that come to these meetings that we have to end up with being timed for 3 minutes. That's not necessary when we're the ones who are doing the research for the town board to take action. It's not right.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Marion Rizzo Stone Road. This on? You like,
I can't, not from my angle, I can't, but
doesn't.
no, I don't see the light, Marion, try hit the button there.
Can you give me the? Can you give it to me so I can make sure it's? Thank you.
Marion Rizzo, oh, there it is, Stowe Road. I hope that you all had time to actually read the lease agreement. I looked it over. Part of it I found very interesting. And here's some of what it says. The easement consists of the perpetual right and privilege and authority to cut down, remove, and control by physical or chemical or other means all trees, limbs, branches, roots, brush, vegetation at the sole and absolute discretion of the grantee, now and hereafter, and may be widened from any such vegetation located outside of the easement area in the sole judgment of the grantee. The final and definitive location of the easement shall be established upon the final installation and erection of the transmission facilities. Now, I hope our town attorney will really look that over, because that doesn't sound like a very good deal for the town. It's giving away the shop. It's potentially, and I know it's potential, giving away the shop. The 8.3 acres on Gola Road is a town asset. They're talking about, I know it's just, some of it, but they're going to significantly alter the land, and the land belongs to the people of Rush. And I'm going to ask the town board to please represent the people of Rush, the citizens. I don't think you're working for the power company. I believe you, I don't know if it was within the oath, but I know that you represent the citizens of Rush. So what's in it for us? $2,500? You're going to spend that tomorrow morning in 1 hour, less than that. And what will we have to show for it? We're going to have a scarring of that at sensitive area and desecration. There is no reason they can't find another way on adjacent farmland. Their headquarters are not even in Rochester. They're a for-profit organization. They're not in Rush. And this is the substation, and everything there is industrial activity in a residential area. Okay, it's zoned residential. So you can respectfully decline their offer. I urge you to respectfully decline their offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me okay? I'm Carol Barnett. I'm a Rush resident. This is going to sound like I'm chiming in with others who have spoken better than I probably will, but I just want you to know that yet one more person cares about this issue with the Gola property. So I have a lot of questions about this. The first I heard of it was the last meeting when it was under new business. Now it's under old business. It seems like it's poised for a vote. And that the National Grid Company is proposing to pay about $2,500 for this right to have an easement. So I have a few questions. When did the town board first learn that National Grid was interested? Did you consider notifying town residents? Were you required to? Even if you weren't required to, would it have been a good idea? There was a public meeting on June 5th. When did you learn about that? Did you tell us about it? If you didn't, why didn't you? Did you send a representative to the meeting? What did you learn? This is an environmentally sensitive piece of land. It's a wooded riparian buffer at the spot where Honeoye Creek meets the Genesee River. So what is your notion of what changes would take place to that land in order to enable National Grid to take advantage of the easement? What is your guess? Well, how many trees will come down? How wide a swath? Do you know? Can you tell us? Can you give us an idea? Were any alternatives proposed or considered? I mean, having the easement go through private property. There might be some people near there who would want to make money on this. And speaking of which, where was the price of $2,519 arrived at? Where did that figure come from? I would like to know that. There are some other things I would like to know, but it seems like this is a little late in the game for these questions to be posed at all at the point where it seems to be on the agenda. And I would think that these questions could have been raised and the public could have been invited into the discussion long ago. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's John Morelli. I live at 535 Five Points Road. I would like to begin by saying that I completely support and endorse everything that was just said by Janet, by Catherine, by Marianne, and by Carol. I just want to make that, put that on the record. In an era of climate change and heightened environmental consciousness, the world is witnessing an unprecedented usage in renewable energy installations. Solar panels glitter on rooftops, wind turbines gracefully dance across the horizon, hydroelectric dams harness the power of mighty rivers. But I'd like to point out that solar energy resources do not exist in a vacuum. They typically require a grid connected service. That's a term of art that's saying recently, grid connected service. As our dependence on renewable energy deepens, power grids are struggling to cope with the influx of electricity from variable sources, presenting a labyrinth of technical, operational, and regulatory hurdles to overcome.
Go ahead.
Grid stability is essential to ensure a reliable supply of electricity. Renewable energy integration necessitates upgrades and modifications to the existing grid infrastructure. Transmission and distribution systems must be reinforced to handle increased capacity, accommodating bi-directional power flow, and connect remote renewable energy sources. These infrastructure enhancements require significant investments and careful planning to ensure grid reliability and resilience. The grid connected service thus becomes part of the renewable energy system and needs to be considered as such when applying our local laws to siting such operations. Our solar law requires a 1,000-foot setback for any solar facility located in or within 1,000 feet of an R20, RMH, RR5, or RTH zoning district in the town of Rush. The proposed site of this new Golar substation does not comply with this law. So I would ask you all to give consideration to the grid connected nature of the utilities, the fact that they need to build them up to accommodate these new resources, and that they should be considered as part of the system when planning and approving such events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Town Board. Amber Corbin, I'm a resident of Rush. Each of us here brings our own experience, and I'm here tonight to bring my experience to you, not only as a resident, as a senior citizen, but also as a past Town Board member. I'm here tonight to ask you all questions, along with the town attorney, about the Golar Road substation and power lines project by National Grid. I started to look into the agenda item on tonight's agenda under old business, resolution to authorize Golar Road easement agreement with National Grid. What I discovered on my own is very concerning. One, finding information on the Town of Rush website is very difficult. I know how to find information myself because I was part of the development, of the town website when I was on the town board. But even I could not find anything labeled Golar Road easement docs. Simply adding docs to the document center tab, miscellaneous documents. Really? I reached out to Councilman Chase. He directed me where to be able to find it. Why would anyone look in the miscellaneous tab? Please have the town webmaster. It was the supervisor secretary when I was on the town board. Label tabs so information can be found at least 24 hours in advance, 24 hours a day. The clerks we know are very busy from 8:30 to 4:30. They've offered to help, but even so, this information should be clearly labeled on the town website. In the community tab on our website, there is a land use proposal. In the document center tab, there is a town projects tab. Maybe bring a handful of residents together to work this matter through. I've offered my assistance to the supervisor on multiple occasions. Two, I found yesterday in the miscellaneous documents, document center tab of the town website, 3 docs regarding the Golar Road easement posted on May 29. Quote, National Grid meeting regarding electrical expansion. It was a postcard, but the mailing address was left blank. Second one, there was a public information in-person meeting on June 5th in Caledonia from 4 to 7 on this project. I definitely would have been there if I knew about it. There was a virtual meeting on June 3rd on this postcard at 6 p.m. on this project. I did not get a postcard in the mail from National Grid and have not received anything from National Grid on this project in the mail, nor have I heard anything about it from our town. Why was this not shared at the last town board meeting about these meetings? I scanned the QR code on this postcard from National Grid and found docs with project update information. February 2025 update fact sheet. Did the supervisor and the town board get this updated sheet? November 2024 update. Did the supervisor and town board get this updated sheet? May 1st, 2024, initial offer for option to purchase easement agreement. I'm guessing maybe it should have been 2025, but it says May 1st, 2024 for what you're considering here tonight for this easement. In the February 2025 update from National Grid on their project website, not the town, it explains the following. What is an Article 7 process? How can I participate in this process? I'm going to turn to our town attorney and say, I would greatly appreciate the town attorney explaining to us residents what an Article 7 process is. Our previous town attorneys and special counsel have educated the residents of Rush on Article 10, 94C, as it pertains to large-scale tier 3, solar projects. National Grid for this Gola Road project has to follow Article 7. I've never heard of it. I'm not an expert, but I think the Rush residents could be educated. I don't know if you can explain to me, town board, what an Article 7 is. The February 2025 update from National Grid goes on and has on this letter, quote, how can I participate in this process? The Article 7 application will be available for public review in the Rush Public Library. As part of our outreach efforts, we will hold public information sessions to allow interested parties to gather more details and ask questions. Public comments will be accepted throughout the life of the project, end quote. Again, Town of Rush has not communicated any of this to us residents. Today, I stopped in the library and I spoke with the library director. She showed me a shelf with 8 individual 5-inch binders that she received on this Gola Road National Grid project. She said, don't quote me, Amber, but I think we received these binders about 4 months ago. That's a lot of information sitting there that maybe you don't even know was there. I don't know. Horseshoe Solar for their project under Article 10 and 94C communicated with the town of Rush. They held information sessions for the public. They spoke at town board meetings while I was on the town board from 2020 to 2023. I would appreciate an answer from this board as to why information on this National Grid substation and power lines project has not been communicated to the residents. I know I'm running long. Thank you for bearing with me. The Gola Road project is not small and will not blend in the landscape of this area. The map that National Grid shows for their proposed new substation, I'm not good at math, but it looks at least 20 times bigger than the present Gola substation. I received a response from Alex Roth today from a National Grid consultant on this project. And he replied, and I quote, we have been keeping local elected official apprised of these initiatives. So what's the status of the Horseshoe substation? The Horseshoe Solar proposed substation that is on the other side of Gola Road from this our existing Gola Road is also 20 times larger. So town board, are there going to be 3 separate substations on Gola Road? The existing one that is small, the proposed one that Dan, Jean, and I worked on that is across under the host community agreement and the road use agreement. And then is there now going to be a 3rd one, which is equal or even bigger than the Horseshoe Solar one, which is to the north of the pole barn that Horseshoe Solar was going to use for their O&M building, if you remember how we negotiated that. So lots of questions. Another question is road use agreement. Dan Jean, we negotiated along with myself and Jerry, a road use agreement with Invenergy / Horseshoe Solar. If Horseshoe Solar is not gonna build their substation, again, maybe you know, I don't know. That road use agreement is useless. Is there a road use agreement being negotiated with National Grid for the building of their mega new substation on Golden Road? Because if you remember, the building inspector shared with us that Horseshoe wanted to bring their big transformers in on the rail line because it would be too hard, it would be too heavy for the road. I'm sure those same type of things will be needed for the new one. And I know our highway superintendent is here, but hopefully Supervisor, you can answer those questions. So my final comment and question is for the building inspector. Has he been approached by National Grid for a permit for this new substation? Previously, he had shared that they were going to demolish the little house and they were just going to add on to the existing substation, but now their map shows an entirely new mega substation to the north. So I would hope this town board will not sign an easement agreement tonight for National Grid under these questions and other residents' questions until they've all been answered and addressed. Thank you.
You? Anyone else?
Whatever she said, you're not gonna be able to.
You haven't, just an accident. If you don't. Okay, oh, if you could, that'd be great. Just to make sure you don't miss anything, I can know. Appreciate it. Just don't want to miss.
Moving on. Yeah, approval of the minutes.
I so move to approve town board minutes of the regular meeting Wednesday, May 28th, 2025, as submitted by Deputy Town Clerk Buchanan. Do I have a second?
I'll second those.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
I'm gonna abstain, because I was only here for something, so.
Councilman Kais,
I also abstain. I was not able to attend that part of the meeting.
okay. Supervisor Williver,
Aye. Approval of the minutes for the workshop on June 2nd.
I will not make that proposal because I am not satisfied with the minutes. And I wrote about the corrections to it and I got a refusal to change it. And I disagree wholeheartedly. My corrections capture the gist of that meeting. There were a lot of notes taken and I appreciate the attempt to incorporate all that was said. It was a long meeting, a very detailed, involved meeting concerning code changes to residential sections. And there was a lot of discussion and I ought to know because I was there and participated in those discussions. And therefore, unless it's changed to my suggestions, I will not have anything to do with these minutes.
You want to,
I wasn't here, so. There was a.
all right, moving on.
Yeah, if I make the resolution, I don't think we can go anywhere with it. We're just two of us.
Well-
Well, you're not here in
No,
in
you
person, so. And we
Yeah.
don't,
Can't take action.
I would still appreciate when we are all together and perhaps someday it'll have to get passed or not, that you reconsider making the corrections to the minutes per my suggested corrections. You
Okay.
all there. I mean, whoever was there heard the discussion and it is what it is. Thank you.
Approval of the abstract.
I so move, having reviewed all vouchers on abstract 6-1 of June 11, 2025, authorized payment totaling $125,523.30, which includes Fund AA General for $103,311.12, DA Highway Townwide for $21,595.33, and Fund LL Library for $616.85. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Councilman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver,
Aye.
And I believe, if I may say, that included a 80,000 some odd dollars for improvements to the barn under pursuant to a grant. That's
Yes.
grant money,
That's
not
right.
taxpayer money.
We still have a bit more to spend.
I'm sorry.
We still have a bit more to spend out of that,
Yeah, which we have
2 RFPs out.
2 RFPs out to do more work under that grant money, so it's great,
Should have results.
right? That's very exciting. I know you included in here an amended resolution. Not on the agenda, but there is an amended resolution. I didn't go back and check the numbers. Are these the correct numbers now?
yeah, they were the correct numbers on the information I gave everyone in their folders, but as we talked
Right,
previously,
right.
I think you were reading the numbers that were sent by email, possibly.
Well, what was printed out, I was reading what was given
Yeah,
to me as a
So the
resolution.
summary were the accurate ones, so that is what is in this resolution.
Okay.
But if you'd like to leave it for the next one, that's fine. The checks did go out.
I could read this so we could just get it on record, or do you
Okay.
want?
It's up to you. I didn't know if you wanted to verify.
Okay, I'll go back and look at my numbers. Thank you.
Board of Officers. Deputy Supervisor Chase.
Nothing, as far as meetings or anything like that, but after our last town board meeting, I did take the opportunity to go over to this Gola Road site and walk that property. I walked along the river all the way from where the town property starts, all the way around the bend and back up to where the existing easement is for these power lines. First off, by land from Gola Road, there is no way for a town resident to access that town property without trespassing on either New York State property or land owned by Stokey Farms. I called Stokey's, obtained permission to access the property through their land. At the previous meeting, we were told that, well, it can be accessed from the Genesee River. I walked those banks. On that whole length of bank, there is one potential spot where you may be able to get a canoe on land and then scale the bank. Otherwise, you have a minimum of a 15-foot sheer bank to climb up to access that property. I understand it's a nice property. We're not looking at getting rid of this property. It's an easement. It's not a brand new easement. To Catherine Hankins' point, we already have an easement. And in that easement, they can expand. They're going to expand this whether Horseshoe comes or not. Horseshoe is not tied to this project per a conversation with National Grid. This project has nothing to do with Horseshoe Solar. This is a scheduled improvement to this power infrastructure. And I don't really understand why it is such an issue when we're expanding an easement that's already there. It's been there. It's an improvement to that infrastructure. We're not losing any land. We have control over everything still. Even where National Grid already has the easement, it's still wild underneath there. It's weeds this tall to walk through there. I hear everyone say it's so beautiful, it's so wonderful. I don't know how anybody has seen it without trespassing. Because I highly doubt anyone has scaled that bank to get up there from the Genesee River. This is a very good deal financially for the town of Rush. I understand it's a very small amount of money, but as resident Janet Glocker told us, it's 3,500 with,
20.
it's 25. I thought we were told that it's 25 plus 1,000.
1,000.
Okay, regardless, that being said, it's still roughly $7,000 an acre for what we're getting. Janet, you mentioned at the last town board meeting, what were you offered from National Grid for the existing?
Effectively 4,500
So
an acre, but I haven't agreed.
you haven't agreed to it, but I mean, well, we're getting a pretty good deal. I honestly, it's public land that nobody can access. And it's an easement, it's an easement,
Enough.
it's an easement that,
This is a discussion.
listen,
The report.
I have a pretty good idea that this will happen whether we get the money for it or not. Okay, it's a report because I went and visited the site. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I won't look forward.
Okay, everybody, let's just.
Okay, so
get the-
board members, I went and visited the site. This is what I observed. In my understanding of what has been offered from National Grid, it seems like a pretty fair deal compared to what other landowners are getting. It is also my belief that regardless of whether we sign this agreement, this is something that National Grid, it can probably claim eminent domain. And they're going to do this. This is not a brand new power line coming through. This is an improvement to an infrastructure that is already existing. That's my opinion on it.
Not what the paperwork says. Listen.
Thank you.
I'm,
Okay.
I won't engage. That's all I have.
Board Member Morelli. You have a report?
Since the last regular board meeting, I attended the workshop on June 2nd or 5th, whatever date that was. That was a long and complicated meeting that we worked very hard to get through residential code sections and make some changes to that. So more to come, but that was a long one. We were exhausted at the end of it, I think we'll agree.
Councilperson Kies.
Not a lot, Conservation Board tomorrow night. I did talk with the owners over on Works Road about the water district they're trying to form. And they need permission from you, Dan, or MRB needs permission from you to share what they have for the water district that pertains to their area. They will not release that information without your approval. So hopefully it's all paid for, it's done. So hopefully we can get that approval sent over to them so they can start working with the homeowners who are interested in this water district. I also, on this right away, I don't know, I don't remember if there was a deadline on this or not. And I agree with Dan Chase on basically all the formats on it and so forth, but maybe due diligence, we could have our next town board meeting, have a public hearing about it, just to get the facts out there and just kind of what Dan said, reiterate the whole thing and why we're doing it and why it's a good deal for the town. Just informational fact sharing. And, well, I don't know, I thought we had this information out there and, if we didn't, then I apologize to the town. But, I think if we have the time, I'd like to see us take another couple of weeks and have a somewhat of a public meeting on it. My opinion.
Thank you. Eric,
Nothing to report.
Pam,
The town and county tax collection for our office is complete. And I turned over the remainder of the share collected to the county. We have about $169,000 still to collect that the county will be collecting through August 20th. And up until then, there will be a 10.5 penalty. I wrote a check to the supervisor regarding the interest for the town and county taxes for a check for $11,998.67. We received a couple bids already for the sheathing done for Building 7 at the horse barn. And those are due by June 16th. So if we have more, I will forward them together all in a packet for the town board to look at collectively. And further on in the meeting, there is a resolution for document destruction. I normally do a destruction of antiquated documents in my records room. So we are doing this together with the court office. The court office has some specifications regarding their administrative program, so they do have to look at the files that are in my possession to make sure that they are shredded at the right time. So we do have to work together doing that, but I just wanted to explain that a little bit. It is a little bit more costly now. The last time that we did it, they were $5 a box. Now they're $12 a box. But they do it on site, and they do need to be shredded on site because they are confidential. And I just wanted to touch base on Councilwoman Morelli, just to give the residents an idea what happens with minutes. Because what I would really prefer, and I believe has to be done, is if any of the board members have changes to be done, please state them in the meetings so that the board, so that the public knows what you're talking about. I cannot put them in the minutes without you stating them. It's not by an email, and it's not by an email of the board discussing, yes, we making a decision. So in the future, if they are changed, please let me know. Paragraph 2 on page 5, let's change this to state this. I mean, we pay right now to have the transcript done. And we work really hard on looking at the transcript, looking at the YouTube, looking at the video recording to make sure the minutes are accurate. So I just wanted to relay that. I don't think the public knows exactly how much goes into it and how important they are historically to a town. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in there because it's something that I take very seriously, and if it's stated, it's stated.
So as you know, we didn't get to a discussion because we don't have a quorum here to do that, so I did not. In the past, when I've made some corrections, I was asked to send them in writing in advance. I thought I was doing the clerks a favor to do that so that we could make it go much more smoothly at the meeting, which I would, of course, then explain what I was changing in the minutes. So be it. I stand by my corrections. They need to represent the meeting, and that's what my corrections said. And I'd be glad to read them in public, the whole thing. But we're not doing that tonight, so.
Yeah, I'm not trying to, I just want to explain, and I don't have that conversation to explain over an email. Because now that a few different people have looked at the email that you sent, there's 2 different versions of it on how you open it too. And I don't.
I'd be
think that you
glad
knew
to
that.
send it in any format you want, you need. I made the corrections, they're in red.
But I
But,
didn't get
but
them
we
in red.
tabled it. I sent it to the clerk who did take
My
the
deputy
meetings.
is in same office as I
I
am,
am.
so
Well, she argued with me about the content, so I'm assuming she was able to open it.
she did open it, but there's 2 versions. I opened a different version that you sent. On the
Okay,
way
I
you
have no
opened it.
idea. I sent one thing. I'll send them again, in a PDF, and then you could see it.
Okay, well, I want you to see the transcript as well.
I don't care what transcript says. I know what I read, and I know what we discussed at the meeting. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Why spend the money on the transcript then?
How do you know they're right? I was there. I know what we discussed and the gist of the conversations. I think that takes precedence. Somebody in person at the meeting, having the conversation about a code section. That's,
I'll share everything that was stated in there then.
and I think
Okay.
that should stand. Yes,
That's it.
okay.
Kevin, do you have anything?
I don't have anything to replace.
I went on a tour of the new Monroe County Juvenile Detention Center over on, by the 100 acres. It's about a $60 million facility that's going up, gonna house 48 juveniles when it gets done. It's quite a building. I attended the State of the County today with Adam Bello at the George Eastman House. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't announced at the meeting though. I was the only supervisor there not announced. The only thing that he mentioned about Rush was they're going to address about 6 miles of the Lehigh Valley Trail. Repair. I went to the Jerry Bisping tree planting. That was well attended. And of course attended the workshop we had on residential code. That's it. Old business, a resolution to authorize the Gola Road easement agreement with National Grid.
I would like to have a continuing discussion on that. I didn't do that when we were talking about our reports, but I spent the last couple of days looking at the easement and then thinking about it and, had some revelations about what is going on. And it's quite interesting to me how many people in this audience tonight came to the same thing. I did not tell people what my thoughts were. And, had the same, light bulbs going off in their heads. But I would just like to say that talking about an easement is putting, in my opinion, the cart before the horse. Because what really is happening here, in addition to this easement and maybe the issues with that, is the idea of this humongous substation, which no one talked about at the town. I'm blown away when I'm studying these documents and then I'm following. And it's like, oh my God, we're talking about an easement when that's like, look over here, don't pay attention to this enormous substation that they want to put over here. But let me just get back to the easement for a second, because I was reading it and I was looking at the option agreement. And I didn't see in there any provision for the town of Rush to cancel the option. All the powers resided with National Grid or Niagara Mohawk, everything. There was no provision for the town of Rush to make changes or have any say in anything. And I thought, that's a bad agreement. I would never sign that. The easement permits NIMO the ability to cut, and this was brought up by someone, to cut, remove by chemical, all at their own discretion. What? You're gonna do something on our land and you're not, and we don't have any say about what chemicals you're putting down? I won't sign on to that. And then that took me to like, where is this going? And then I'm looking at the map and then I start focusing on this substation. Like, holy cow, easement is nothing, folks. Don't get blown away by the easement. There's problems with that. But the problem is the substation. Wow, wow, wow. Did anybody look at it? Did anybody have any details? I sure as heck didn't. And I'm on the board. I had nothing. Did you? Did you? Any details about this substation?
The only thing we were talking about was the easement.
Yeah, yeah. And we're getting like
Where's the
distracted.
substation going?
Okay,
No, it's not on Rush land, right? You're right, but it's not on Rush land.
no, but I'm sorry, it's town of Rush.
But it's not
and-
on town of Rush land, so
We're talking
we
about
want to
the
discuss it in the easement.
Well, because lots of things happen and I didn't see, I'm sorry, here's a map that was on the website. And it is, look at the size of this. The existing one is over here, this little thing, and look at the size of this. Okay, here's where they want to put the easement through to connect to that. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying, holy, here's Gola Road. And then I'm looking at the map and I'm looking at the zoning map, and I think this was brought up too. It's right next to maybe part of an R20 district. This whole thing is being put here to support Horseshoe Solar. And I'm connecting the dots here, and it is subject to our solar law, which puts it, a 1,000-foot setback when you're next to an R20 district. That's one thing. That's one thing. And then I'm looking, and I think this was brought up too by Amber. I'm looking at the map and yeah. And I reached out to Pam because I couldn't find a lot Horseshoe Solar documents on the website. They're gone. They're gone. All of them, everything. I don't understand that. And then I found some other in my own correspondence, dig, wasting a lot of time. Because I remembered, I was like, wait a minute, Horseshoe Solar, aren't they putting in a substation too? Well, yeah, they are on their map, unless everything's changed. Like, this is all so intertwined with Horseshoe Solar. Like, are they now, because they were going to connect to the existing Gola Road easement, substation. Are they going to go over that way? Don't know. Or are they going to abandon this one because the other one is so enormous? Don't know. We don't have
This
enough.
project by National Grid is to upgrade a 100-year-old system. We have a greater need for electricity. This is upgrading a 100-year-old system, and it needs to be done. I mean,
On their own
people
website
seem to use
documents.
electricity quite a bit,
They do.
and
They do.
and we need electricity. And
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that.
well,
But their own website talks about the connection with Horseshoe Solar and what's going on there in the solar. Their own documents.
Yeah.
So I'm connecting the dots to our town of Rush solar law has to apply here. Are they coming? I couldn't find this anywhere posted. I'm looking in the planning board documents that have been posted. Are they coming? This requires a special permit. Did they apply for a permit? Does anybody know?
I don't know the time frame on the whole project. It may be coming. I don't know.
Well,
I can
no,
contact
shouldn't
them
we
and
know
see if I,
this?
For,
right now, we're talking about an easement on 1/3 of an acre of property.
Yeah, but
we
that's
can't
putting the
access.
cart before the horse here. The horse is this substation that we need to address whether that substation is going there, because this whole easement goes to the new substation. And that's what we need to get our
Yeah.
our
The sub- the-
hands around.
The high tension lines that pass over the easement come from Batavia. It has nothing to do with Horseshoe.
Well, it's all tying in there.
It's going to their new substation that they need to supply energy to the people in the area.
This resolution does not say that, and this resolution has got the wrong law. It's Article 7 that covers this. This is not written, and it says it's resolution effect immediately. This resolution needs to be written, and they need to come and explain this to us. And we can always get to GOLA because there's a prescriptive easement to be able to get to land that you have. It's been going on since 1991. It's town land, but we can get to it. I can go there tonight and get to it. So they wouldn't keep me out. Even Stokey wouldn't be able to keep us out. No, stop the clock and do the job and give us the information we need to study it. I did not get to read this, and I looked every single day to find out where that was. And we need to have an attorney who could write up this resolution so that it clearly states that it's subject to a permissive referendum and it does not take effect immediately unless there is no permissive referendum, which there certainly will be, because this is not right.
It says it's subjected to a permissive referendum right in there.
It says it's effective immediately. That doesn't work.
That
It's-
resolution would.
And it's Article 7, not Article, it's not 6, it's not law
It's
64.
still, it's,
I don't think, this
Okay.
is just not, this is not, and this was not on the website yesterday afternoon.
So what,
on-
why don't we do this? Why don't we just let it go? And when they want to come in and if they come right through it, they come right through it, and we don't get anything.
We don't need that money that fast. I'm serious. Jesus.
No, I'm being serious. Like,
I agree
if
with
we
you.
don't, if we don't approve the resolution, and if they want to take, if they're gonna run the
if
easement
it's gonna
anyway,
go there, they're
just
just gonna have
gonna
the
do it.
ability to take it. We would still get this consideration for it because they can't take it without giving you compensation.
so I personally know somebody who's affected not by this power line, but someone on the north-south one, probably Janet's same one that's affecting you. And it's affecting their house. And I know somebody who went to that meeting on June 6th, 5th, whatever it was. And they said right there, they're like, basically, we're not zigzagging. It's going this direction. So basically work with us now, or it's gonna be what we're gonna offer you.
I agree with you.
You can
Unfortunately,
always, that's not true.
I know, I'm just saying,
I'm just
Okay,
saying,
I-
I've worked with real estate developers my whole career. And there's been lawsuits regarding eminent domain, and there's negotiations that take
All right.
place.
all
Trust
I'm
me.
saying, my biggest thing I'm trying to say right here is everybody's upset about this. And at the end of the day, if we don't approve this and they want to come through, they're gonna come through and they're just gonna give us what we're gonna get for it, right?
And let them come in and explain. And also just be more.
Right,
I'm not saying don't approve it. I'm saying
I mean,
we've
I
got
need to-
another issue. We need to understand this project, this
I mean,
whole project.
to the point of someone coming in and actually explaining it, yeah, by all means.
He said-
I mean,
Anybody who's.
who can come in?
Let me finish, please. Thank you. This is a proposed area. It may not be to size.
They bought the land.
Whether they bought it or not, it may not be to size or to scale. This may just be where they're,
This is it. This is it.
okay,
They didn't come
Sorry.
to us.
it's not.
This will be on public record. Supervisor Wolver has a contact phone number that the gentleman from National Grid said. If there's any questions from citizens, he is more than happy to take your phone calls on his personal cell phone. And Supervisor Wolver,
You ready?
And frankly, it's my understanding that National Grid has told their people, do not say that any of this is connected to electric, to solar, because they don't want the additional complications. So I would not trust,
We want
trust-
to be able to
trust.
invite the other people in the public. We don't, we barely got it yesterday. We're not prepared to start to have a conversation on a phone with National Grid. And if that was a setup for this evening, that's just shameful. We need. to
There was no setup.
We need to publicize this to the public.
It was on the website on May 29th. It,
It was not.
but it was there. I mean,
Oh, come
This
on.
is not an argument.
I will be, will you listen to me? And I'll be real. Amber, how quickly did I respond to you, to your email inquiring about where you could find it? Okay, so you said you looked every day since the last meeting.
Because- And our town supervisor said it would be posted on that site, which would be the front page where everything else, including, you know, where the.
But when you didn't find it, I mean,
I did
oh,
not-
it was as quickly as reaching out to myself or the town clerk.
Do not blame the citizens.
I'm not blaming you,
Do
but
not
But
blame.
what I'm saying is, we're very responsive, and how many of you have reached out and gotten a response from myself fairly quickly on certain issues? I'm just saying, we're approachable, and if you're having issues, then
We were told at the last meeting that it would be posted as soon as possible.
Next day I gave it to the clerk and had it posted. I don't
correct,
know if
and that's
it's
what I'm, so Catherine, and that's what I'm saying, if, I'm not blaming you, but if you're having trouble, then feel free to reach out, because I'd be willing to help. That's all I'm saying, I'm not blaming you.
And there should be a
Okay.
public forum for us to understand, not just the easement,
Well,
not just what's the future.
we
but
will
what
table it.
Found out that we should have a much better understanding of what the town board has gotten us into.
Okay, we'll table it, but please, going forward, I'm not trying to blame you. I'm not trying to upset you. But if something is said, hey, it's gonna be there and you're having trouble or you don't think it's there, please just feel free to reach out. I will do my best to try and resolve the issue and work with you on it.
Was that the directive in the last meeting? That I should call council? No.
Okay, let's.
That's enough. That's enough.
I'm not trying to argue, geez, I'm just trying to be.
I get it, we just don't need to, can't, because again, people that are gonna watch the video, none of this is mic'd up, so we can't, like, we can stop the.
I would like to see the town have National Grid, Niagara Mohawk, whoever, come and do a townwide presentation as to the scope of what they are proposing to do over here, including that new substation. That's the big object when I look at this. The easement is in, go ahead.
Okay. If you're gonna speak, you gotta go.
I think it's also important to have Horseshoe here.
I agree. We need
I
to
mean-
know how that affects their
Having
plan.
them separately speak with it being integrated and the possibility of 3 substations. That needs to be explained.
I agree. We need to know what's going on with this enormous utility over there now that, was not where we were at when we made all our agreements with Horseshoe Solar about reducing that size in the town of Rush, where things were gonna go, where there was a lot of meetings, a lot of discussions, all out in the open, and a lot of participation. And here, this pops up on a map and I'm looking, holy cow, that's the issue. This massive substation going closer to River Road. And I'm glad there are people here who live over there. This is what we need to help our people. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just if you haven't seen it, this National Grid website that maybe you didn't know about, but you should have, because they said they sent it to our elected officials. Estimated project schedule, and hopefully Derek, this will help you feeling more comfortable not voting on it tonight, so that everything, it says 2024 estimated project schedule, 2024 to 2025. Initial survey and engineering reviews. February 2025, Article 7 application submitted to New York State. 2027, anticipated construction start. So we are 2 years out before, so to try to get these questions answered, hopefully that makes you feel more comfortable.
Thank you.
We're gonna move on.
Are we, can we say
I'll
that
try to
we
get
will,
hold of National Grid to get somebody in,
and,
come in.
and Invenergy, we need to have a public forum and an explanation of this massive project in the town of Rush.
Just gotta find a place to hold it, cause it's gonna be a full house.
Well, we could do it at the Methodist Church, maybe. We've done stuff there before.
Yep.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Moving on, new business. Proposed resolution to destroy records by shredding pursuant to LGS 1.
I so move to approve the town clerk as records management officer to contract with Certified Document Destruction and Recycling Inc. 1133 Emerson Street, Rochester, New York, 14606 to destroy antiquated records by shredding pursuant to LGS 1 in the amount of $420 with budgeted records management funds. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second it.
Councilwoman Morelli,
Aye.
Councilman Chase.
Aye.
Councilman Brown,
Aye.
Councilman Kais,
Aye.
Supervisor Williver,
Aye. Now we need a resolution.
For the waterfront,
Local law. The LWRP is moving forward. We have to pass a local law to get that moving. Kevin, would you like to explain that for us?
Effectively, in order to it to be a part of the LWRP program, the state has indicated that they want all municipalities to have a standalone seeker local law. Basically, we follow seeker whenever there's an application project, they're all such seeker, which is the environmental review. Our code doesn't have a set standalone seeker section, if you will. And part of the requirements for being in this program, even though we're subject to seeker and we follow seeker, we don't have a seeker section. So the initial step will be to adopt a local seeker law, which won't just be governing LWRP, it just governs any application, any seeker review within the town. So it serves the purpose, but we already do it anyway, it's just we don't have it codified. So this will codify it and it'll allow us to provide our proposed local law. That the state governs how the statute for when you have these local waterfront improvement areas. We're going to follow the internal water, because we're not on Lake Ontario, so it's all inner water bodies. We're following their proposed local law on how projects will be reviewed and basically evaluated whether or not they meet the criteria to be part of that program. There's already 8 programs, I believe, of the eight different project
proposed
sites
projects
that have been kind of vetted is going to be part of that program, but anything in addition to that would have to be subject to the review under the new LWRP law that we're going to adopt in a few months. But the first step before we can send the proposed law to the state for review for their 60-day review and comment period is to adopt a local seeker determination so that they can take their action. So this is just a preliminary step, but it serves a purpose of, again, the town already follows the seeker guidance and it's already kind of tangentially codified within the code, but this will just make it implicit. And it's just on seeker analysis. And then later on, once we get comments back from the state, then we can move forward with our proposed local law on the LWRP.
Kevin, I just want to make sure before we do a resolution that we have the right chapter.
I'm creating a new chapter because there's no current chapter.
Okay,
So it's just, I just did a placeholder, I'm just picking a number kind of that we don't already currently have.
okay, so maybe we should leave that blank because here it says 97 and then we have some draft of the actual local law, which refers to chapter 98. And so I don't want to approve something.
Okay, I'm hoping that I think I may have put the LWRP as the next 198, so that may be the discrepancy. If not, that was just on me. So we can.
No,
we can
I just-
leave it- we
I
can
don't-
leave it blank again.
I don't want to say it's one
Right, no.
chapter
got
and
it.
then we're talking another one.
Yep, no, I think I did them one after another just for sequencing, but it can be whatever number we want. It's gonna be an addition of a local law as long as it's not taking part. of an
So for
existing law.
purposes of this resolution to get a public hearing on the books, we would leave it blank.
I think, I mean, we can pick, I would pick 97. And that's
97.
what it will go.
Okay, so then we'll change it. These draft notes that I got about the local law
Yeah, that, I think
will
that
change.
if it was an email, that may have been from, that may be the LWRP law, but that's fine. No,
Okay,
we'll
I
make
just
sure that's
wanna-
consistent. Yep,
Okay, we'll leave it at 97 then.
yep. Secret will be 97 and then the LWRP, unless we have something in the interim, would be 98.
Oh, okay. I'm a little confused, but that's all right.
Secret, only thing we're doing now is 97.
Okay, got it.
Okay. I so move to schedule a public hearing on June 25th, 2025 at 7:15 PM in the offices of the Rush Town Hall, 5977 East Henrietta Road, Rush, New York, 14543, regarding amending the town code by adding chapter 97, environmental quality review regarding the local waterfront revitalization program. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Morale,
Aye.
Councilman Kives,
Aye.
Councilman Chase,
Aye.
Councilman Brown.
Aye.
Supervisor Williver,
And we'll get that on the website, right? The law.
Yes, yeah, yep.
Thank you.
I don't put them on until the board says it's
I'm
going to
just-
be on there.
just asking.
Then that's when it's on the
Yes.
website.
No problem. I'm not not criticizing.
That's the end of the business for tonight. Upcoming meetings, there's a conservation board meeting tomorrow. Zoning board on the 19th, planning board will meet on the 24th. I haven't conducted all the business of the town for the day. With a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh. Yes, I just want to make sure that, thank you.
Your turn.